Against the Ice review. This was a movie that was extremely interesting and based on a true expedition in the Arctic. I've not seen a film set in this environment for a long while, and with Joe Cole and Nicola Costavaldo leading it, I was excited to see how it would pan out. So I thought I'd let you know if it's worth watching or not. So, here is a review of Against the Ice. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Focusing on an expedition in the Arctic set in the early 1900s, this was something that I feel was a type of movie that we've not really seen on screen before. I was excited to see it once I heard that it was coming out, due to the fact that it was starring Joe Cole and Nicola Costavaldo. The movie started out with moderate pacing and a good easy introduction into what we were going to be witnessing over the next hour and 45 minutes. We saw Einar the captain and Ivar, who was merely a mechanic that was brought onto the expedition in Reykjavik, and somehow he now found himself volunteering himself to embark on this mission to seek out and prove that America lay no claim to this land in Greenland. In the first few moments, we're introduced to how fierce the terrain can be, and this was shown by the second in command getting injured and witnessing a brutal attempt in saving his foot. I thought the movie did a great job in getting the harshness of the environment across. The pure white, glowing frost, sore skin, and harsh breath really translated across the screen, and you could feel how rough, uncomfortable, and bitter the winds would be, especially when Einar fell into the water. I don't know how he managed to survive that without getting hypothermia. A lot of the movie is focused around Ivar Ivarson's development and us seeing him go from a happy-go-lucky kind of fellow into a warrior who was able to withstand 840 odd days in the Arctic with the bare minimum to survive. He defied the odds and made it out alive, which was much to everyone's surprise, considering he had no experience whatsoever. Seeing him at the start essentially as a human and so attached to his dogs, to then at the end being able to claim them and even eat them with blank expressions, almost taking the lead and doing all that he could to ensure the captain was safe, was a great development to see on screen. There were 2 or 3 moments that stood out in this movie for me, which I think were intentional. We had the polar bear moment partway through where it looked like it was going to be the end for one of the characters. The moment where they thought they returned safely to the ship only to see that their crew had abandoned them, and then the moment where they went back to get the notes and missed a rescuer that was sent to get them after being abandoned. Those were 3 moments that I feel really hit hard, and you could feel the frustration that they embodied due to the fact that you really were rooting for them after this journey and wanted them to be found. We saw the captain gradually slip into the state of losing his mind, and we saw this by him seeing Naja, his love back home and the person who he named in the photograph. He gets fixated on regret and leaving her, and the journey being all for nothing if they died, and to be honest, it was a moment of real heartbreak. We saw this tough man who knew he was a great leader and expediter crumbling due to the fact that he thought this was the end. He questioned why he did it, but then we later went on to find out that it's always been ingrained within him. It's been his passion since he was a young kid. Although Ivar was sane for the majority, I think the symbolizing of them both hearing the polar bear at the end was a hint that he was also going insane. Their polar bear upped and left in a matter of minutes, and there was no trace when Einar went outside, so I think Ivar's mental state had finally deteriorated too. I think the movie did a great job in getting across the time period, lack of protection, and highlighting just how exposed these expediters were back then. As even today, it feels like something that you wouldn't necessarily be inclined to do due to the terrain, but back then it would have been a completely different experience. A far more dangerous and scarier experience, and that was shown across the screen well. I was unaware of the true nature of the story, and when the pair got rescued, it was something that I'm glad happened. I'm in utter shock that they even managed to survive that long with that little in that location. Overall, I think the movie was good. It served its purpose well and provided an experience when watching. I felt transported back to the early 20th century, and I felt the danger, tension, and the fact that death could come at you in an instant in this environment. It was extremely apparent. I think Joe Cole was the standout performer in this for me. His character's journey from follower to leader was extremely clear to watch unfold and inspirational at the same time. The setting and effects on the actors was also something I'd like to commend because they looked frozen for most of it, and I think that added to the viewing experience a lot. This isn't a movie filled with action, excitement, or thrill, but you watch a story unfold that doesn't feel too dramatized, and contains small glimpses and elements of all that I just mentioned, which I think make it all the more rewarding when those moments do occur. We witness a relationship between two people from over the space of 3 very lonely years, and that in itself is far stronger and enjoyable to watch than a rendition of the movie filled with action and fighting. Adventure in this movie prevails due to the way that they decided to allow it to unfold. A slow burner with a payoff at the end. What did you think of this movie? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.